Anis Gerwin, Caerphilly, Anismore, Abertawe, Abergavenny, Abertawe, Haverfordwest, Bellinog, Capel-Ewan, Usk, Mavod, Cardiff.
Nice one.
This is Wales. This is Wales.
Barney Holmes.
This is Wales.
Once we had a land, we always made a stand. We held our heads up high. Then they took away our pride. The dragon fire died, but we'll rise again, and here's the reason why. Hey, yes, Cymru, yes, Cymru, yes. Let's get ourselves out of this mess. Westminster's blown, let's do it on our own. Say yes, Cymru, yes, Cymru, yes, yes, yes. Ni fydd i ni fel had, wrth fod yn hanner gwlad. Blisgo byw o hyd, ond fe dorodd y wawr. Dyma'n cyfle ni nawr, i roi Cymru rydd ar rwyfan mawr y byd. Hey, yes, Cymru, yes, Cymru, yes. Let's get ourselves out of this mess. Westminster's blown, let's do it on our own. Say yes, Cymru, yes, Cymru, yes, yes, yes. Yes, Cymru, yes, Cymru, yes. Let's get ourselves out of this mess. Westminster's blown, let's do it on our own. Say yes, Cymru, yes, Cymru, yes, yes, yes. Hey, yes, Cymru, yes, Cymru, yes. Let's get ourselves out of this mess. Westminster's blown, let's do it on our own. Say yes, Cymru, yes, Cymru, yes, yes, yes. Say yes, Cymru, yes, Cymru, yes, yes, yes.
Dwi dim yn cofio Maxen, does neb yn ei nabod o. Mae 1600 o flynyddoedd yn amser hir i'r co. Ond naeth Magnus Maximus o Gymru yn y flwyddyn 303 yn gadael yn genedl gyfan a heddiw welen ni. Grini yma o hyd, grini yma o hyd. Gweitha pawb a phopeth, gweitha pawb a phopeth, gweitha pawb a phopeth, grini yma o hyd. iaith Gymraeg yn fe. Rydyn ni yma o hyd. Rydyn ni yma o hyd. Er gweitha pawb a phopeth. Er gweitha pawb a phopeth. Er gweitha pawb a phopeth. Rydyn ni yma o hyd. Rydyn ni yma o hyd. Er gweitha pawb a phopeth. Er gweitha pawb a phopeth. Er gweitha pawb a phopeth. Rydyn ni yma o hyd. Rydyn ni yma o hyd. Er gweitha pawb a phopeth. Er gweitha pawb a phopeth. Er gweitha pawb a phopeth. Rydyn ni yma o hyd. Rydyn ni yma o hyd. Er gweitha pawb a phopeth. Er gweitha Helo pawb. Croeso i Abertawe. Dewch i'r ffront, boys. Cwtwch lan. We're all friends here. Come on. Come on. Come closer. Okay, it's photo op time. I ni gyd yn mynd i fod mewn llun. Llai ofyn i'r baneri reit yn y ffront, just i gymryd nhw lawr. Baneri lawr. Okay. Okay, serious pose. Na, chi gyd yn gwenu. Come on, serious pose. Os yw Phil just yn demonstrator, ni'n mynd i wneud cwpl o bethau bach now. We're going to do some fun things, just as part of the photos. So, we will start with Dwylan yr Awyr. Arms in the air. Dwylo i'r chwith. Hands to the right. Everybody jump up and down. O'r pŵer, Phil, y pŵer. Okay, and now we're going to make some noise. Ni'n di wneud bach o sŵn. You are going to roar like the dragon that you are. Ar 3, on 3, we will roar like a dragon. 1, 2, 3. Eitha da, pretty good, but you can do better. Ni yw'r Cymru, ni'n gallu gwneud yn well. Once more, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Da iawn pawb. I'm just going to hand you over to Phil. Mae Phil yn mynd i ddiddannu chi.
OK, cais cyflym, baneri o flaen y cameras. Straight on, fan hyn. Odych chi'n gallu rhoi baneri lawr, please? Fel bod ni'n gallu cael y money shots, ynddo fe? Na chi yn y canol fyna. Na fe, sori, o'ch chi yn y ffordd. Right, OK, barod? Na, chi'n mynd rhy gyflym nawr. Nes i roi'r speed i chi. Dalwch ymlaen. You're not supposed to increase the tempo. Let me give it to you again. Mi gwrddais i ar merch fach lan, lawr ar lan y môr, lawr ar lan y môr, lawr ar lan y môr. Mi gwrddais i ar merch fach lan, lawr ar lan y môr, lawr ar lan y môr. O, rwy'n dy garu di, o, rwy'n dy garu di, yr ynedd ar lan y môr. O, rwy'n dy garu di, o, rwy'n dy garu di, yr ynedd ar lan y môr. E-o! 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 Piro, 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 piro. Cymru rydd. Cymru rydd. Cymru rydd. Cymru rydd. All right. Pnawn da Abertawe. Ah, it's brilliant to be here. Speaking from someone who lives in the mountains, mae fe wastad yn hyfryd iawn I ddod I lan y môr. It's great. You know, you don't get hay fever by the seaside, do you? It's incredible. It's wonderful. Right, mae lot o gyhoeddiadau gyda fi wneud. I've got lots of announcements to make. We've got a jam-packed line-up for you today of super stellar speakers. A fi'n siŵr bod chi'n mynd I fwynhau hynny gymaint ag I fi. Nawr, mae'r siaradwr cyntaf, mae fe'n tipyn o bopeth. Mae fe'n awdur, mae fe'n wleidydd, ond mae fe hefyd wedi wneud bach o ddigrifwch. So our first speaker now on the stage, he's an author, a politician, but interestingly, a stand-up comic. So I thought I'd leave you with this rubbish joke now, if I may, before, I introduce him on the stage here. A man goes into the butcher's and he says to the butcher, "Excuse me, have you got a sheep's head?" And the butcher says, "No, it's the way I part my hair." OK, rowch croeso mawr, felly, dreadful joke there. Mr Mike Parker!
Wel, am gyflwyniad. Diolch yn fawr, Phil. Hello, Abertawe. Hello. Dach chi'n edrych yn absolutely bloody wonderful. You really do. You look fantastic this afternoon. Well, I'm not a Welshman. I am not by birth, not by upbringing, but I am a Cymro o ddewis, a Welsh man by choice. And Wales was always the place that I wanted to be from as far back as I can possibly remember. And there were many reasons why. Most obviously, of course, the beauty of the place. From left to right, top to bottom, Vaughan I Fynwy, Wales is the most beautiful land we know. There is no Duff Corner. But there was so much more to it than just that. What also called me here were the things that you just can't photograph. The powerful sense that people have, right throughout Wales, of their milltir sgwâr. The strength of community in Wales. And the sense that Wales as a nation is a community of communities. And deep within all of that are values. Values of social justice and of equality, of empathy, of tolerance, of culture, and of kindness. My great mentor and hero, Jan Morris, used to say that Wales is a very kind country. And she was right. Of course, we can be too romantic about this. It's possible. At every stage, here as much as anywhere, there were always those ready to exploit the kindness of others. Those too fond of the power given to them by politics or the press or the pulpit. But you never had to dig even past them very far to find the kindness or the values that make Cymru what it is. I grew up less than an hour the other side of the border, and coming here, the differences were so obvious. And in the 30 years that I've been writing about those differences, I've been writing about Wales, those differences have become only sharper. And that's why I'm here today to support the campaign for Welsh independence. Now, for me, Welsh independence is not about, lovely though it is, it's not about what I call the wallpaper of nationhood. You know, the flags and the anthems and the stamps and the coins, not even getting into the Olympics or Eurovision, though I have to say, bring on the day, le pays de Galles 12 points. I can't wait. But no, for me, the campaign for independence is about real substance. And it is urgent. Right now, with the world in such a dark and difficult place, with dictatorship and fascism on the rise, fueled by imperialisms ancient and new, and rapidly widening inequality. With a climate crisis threatening to unleash horrors we haven't yet dreamed of, the need to do things differently could not be more pressing. The world needs Welsh values, community, kindness, sustainability, and it needs them on the widest possible stage. It's as simple as that. This country has so much to share, so many conversations to be part of, but that cannot be until we found our own voice and are able to use it. And no amount of tinkering around the edges of the current settlement will give Wales its real voice. The UK has shown time and time again that it cannot and it will not reform itself. Gross inequality is hardwired into it. And as times get tougher, the proof of that sad fact will only become ever more extreme and ever more obscene. So yes, Wales needs independence, but not just for the sake of those of us fortunate enough to live here. Our neighbours in these islands also need an independent Wales to help hasten the much-needed rebalancing of power and wealth. And most importantly, the wider world needs an independent Wales. So much of the best politics from all over the globe is coming from smaller nations. In the growing darkness, it is they that often provide the brightest lights to help guide us through. Wales could and should join their ranks. The world needs an independent Wales. Diolch yn fawr i chi. Diolch.
OK, diolch yn fawr iawn, Mike Parker. Ga I just eich atgoffa chi'n gyflym, fi'n siŵr bod chi'n gwybod yn barod. If you're taking photographs today and video footage, as I'm sure you all are, can you put the hashtag Annibyniaeth and Indie Wales in there? And let's try and get them trending, isn't it? Diolch. OK, diolch yn fawr. OK. I gyflwyno nawr te y siarad wraig nesa, mae hi'n athrawes, mae hi'n gynllunydd, ond hefyd nawr, mae hi'n un o gyfarwyddwyr YesCymru. Ond yn fwy na hynny I gyd, mae hi'n ffrind. So, she's a teacher, a designer, a campaigner, someone who believes to the core of her being in social justice and the Welsh language, and I'm delighted to be able to count her as a friend. Rowch croeso mawr I Naomi Hughes.
phrynawn da iawn yw hi yma, ymlith ffrindiau hen a newydd yn ddinas hyll a hyfryd Dylan Thomas. I remember watching a film once or twice, and indeed, ambition is critical. Wales needs to be the birthplace of ambition, not the place it comes to die. And it's ambition that I want to talk about with you today, but a different type of ambition. A personal and collective ambition to make a fundamental and positive change to the future of our nation and every generation to come. To build a fair and tolerant society in Wales, north, south, east and west. Okay. But first I want to tell you a little bit about my journey from St Mellons to be standing here on this stage in Abertawe representing the NGB of YesCymru. I grew up as an English-speaking mixed-race girl on the outskirts of Cardiff, not the most fertile ground for Welsh nationalism in the 70s and 80s. Welsh independence was never discussed in my house, in school or with my friends. I was born in 1979, a year that saw 4 out of 5 Welsh voters decide they were not ready for any self-determination. How far we have come in my lifetime, and we have not finished yet. After leaving university, I travelled for a couple of years around Asia, Australia and New Zealand. Whenever I met new people, the conversation would always be the same. Where are you from? Wales. Where's Wales then? Is that in England? I know. I can imagine my face. The seeds of an understanding of my own identity was sown. My love for travelling continues today, and I have had the privilege of visiting 44 countries in European countries over the last 10 years. And it has often struck me, if the Slovaks can be independent, why can't we? If the Lithuanians can be independent, why can't we? And if the Luxembourgers can be independent, why can't we? And if Iceland, with a population of only 30% greater than here in Swansea, can be independent, why can't we? So, if we are not an independent country, this union, this strength in numbers, must be working out something special for us here in Wales, mustn't it? I live in a small village, special village, nestled between the deprivation of Merthyr, Pontypridd and Bargoed. I live in an area where 30% of children live in child poverty, food bank use is through the roof, and people are living in cold, mould-filled houses because they can't afford to turn their heating on. This union, not working for us. I believe in a country that values public transport, but I have no access to it. For despite having 11% of the UK rail network, we have less than 1% of the funding. This union, not working for us. I live in a country that for the past 300 years has been the forefront of energy and natural resources in the UK. But we pay more money for the power that we produce than those that we export it to. You must know the words by now, Abertawe. This union is not working for us. So, back to my ambition. My personal ambition is to live in an independent Wales. I want to be alive to still enjoy the Declaration of Independence from the steps of the Branwyn Hall here in Swansea. This is not a fake ambition. This is not an unrealistic ambition. It is not an unemotional, rose-tinted glasses type of ambition. This ambition is critical. The ambition to build a fair and tolerant Wales, to build a Wales of opportunity, to build a green Wales. This ambition is critical. And to build a Wales where nearly 40% of our children do not become accustomed to poverty and have an ambition and have a future. We need to find our ambition to help Cymru be free and successful. This ambition is critical. So, which brings me to how we make our ambition of independence a reality. It is incredible to see so many people here today, but turning up is not enough. We have work to do. YesCymru has around 10,000 members. To every member who is here today, thank you, but your work is not done. You need to find your +1. Anyone who is thinking about becoming a member, go and find the membership stall over there and join and find your +1. Anyone who is a lapsed member, we need you back today. So go and rejoin and find your +1. The plain and simple truth is that everyone who supports independence convinces one more person. This will be ambition no more. We will win. Get out there and campaign in your local area. Speak to colleagues, friends, and family, and join us in our conference in June and start the conversation today. So in the presence of my new independent supporting friends, please take this message away with you today. Me +1, me +1, me +1. And let's be like the Slovaks, the Icelanders, and the Luxembourgers. Let's be the people of an independent Cymru, a Cymru the Welsh.
OK, diolch yn fawr iawn, Naomi Hughes! Can you hear me at the back? Ni wedi cael cwynio nawr bod y sain ddim digon uchel. So everyone got to project their voices. Get your voices out there, OK? Stand closer to the mics, guest speakers. Nawr te, mae'n gwestai nesaf ni, mae fe'n wleidydd, mae fe'n arweinydd gwleidyddol, dim llai, ond mae fe'n cynllunydd garddiau hefyd. Now, you know this famous saying, don't judge a book by its cover. Now, if you were to just look at this person's name, you know, you might think he was a drummer in a death metal band. But he's not. You know, he's a political leader, the Green Party of Wales, but he's a garden designer as well. So, rhowch croeso mawr I Anthony Slaughter!
Diolch. Thank you for that. No, I wasn't the drummer in a new metal band. For my sins, I was a singer in a punk rock band. But even then, I don't think I've seen a crowd like this. The view from here is incredible. This is a fantastic day, and thank you so much, each and every one of you, for turning out. I think you need to give yourself a round of applause, because you are the people making this happen. And we can feel this movement growing every time we get together in community halls, in pubs, in cafes, at events like this. The confidence, the sense of confidence is palpable. The idea of an independent Wales is becoming increasingly credible to more and more people, thanks to the work groups like you are doing. And we know why this is happening, because people can see the society we live in isn't working, the union isn't working, as was alluded to. We know this because Westminster isn't working. Wales deserves better. I say that quite often, and then I always have to correct myself, because the truth is Westminster's working very well for the people it's set up to work for. And we'll see some of our politicians in the Bay will sympathise with the issues that we raise. And they will talk about strengthening devolution, a stronger Wales within the union. We know that the devolution settlement will never be adequate and will never be safe and secure. That is why That is why we have to, it is imperative we continue the work of building an independent Wales. Now, we've seen the pushbacks from devolution already. It's already gaining pace. We've seen the Scottish Government, the disgraceful pushback on the Gender Recognition Reform Act, the blatant interfering of the Westminster Government in a legal government's decision-making, the pushback on the bottle deposit scheme. And we see it here in Wales as well, the ridiculous situation where it's argued that HS2 is an England and Wales project, so therefore we get no consequentials. They are taking the mickey. And we see it in the Welsh Government's apparent impotence to stop the continued coal mining at Abertawe. At a time of climate change, climate crisis, a government, it will argue that it doesn't have the power to stop it. And why isn't it arguing for those powers? At a time of climate crisis, we need to be a small independent country so we can work together with other small independent countries at the pace and urgency that is needed to tackle the climate crisis. We could be leading the way in renewable power generation. Wales led the first industrial revolution. We could and we should lead the new green industrial revolution. And we're not only facing the climate crisis, we're living in a time of multiple crises. Social crisis, the 1 in 4, 1 in 3 children in poverty in Wales. In the 21st century, and we're supposedly the 6th richest country in the world, this is not acceptable. And the answer to all of these problems, because in the Green Party we recognise that all these problems are interlinked and the solutions must be too, because we recognise there's no climate justice without social justice, without economic justice, and without racial justice. And that is why we need the power of independence to work to build that small, fair, progressive, green, independent country that Wales can become. And we need to be clear about that society that we're building. You know, we're not just moving Westminster down to Cardiff Bay. We're not just putting another set of stale-tired politicians in charge. Wales Green Party believes that we have the potential, and we could and we should build. We could be a small, independent, inclusive, cosmopolitan, welcoming country. We could work as an independent country, we could create a society where everyone has the right to decent, affordable housing. A society where bigotry in any form is not tolerated. An independent Wales must, and I believe it will be, a place where all of our diverse communities feel welcome, empowered, and lead lives of dignity and respect. I believe this is all achievable, and Wales Green Party looks forward to continuing to work with all organisations, other organisations, cross parties, people in no parties. We will continue to work together to build this Wales that we know is possible. Thank you. Diolch. Cymru Rydd.
OK te, diolch yn fawr iawn, a geiriau hyfryd iawn fyna gan Anthony Slaughter. Nawr mae'n siaradwr nesaf ni nawr, buodd hi'n siarad yn wych iawn yn gynhadledd ychydig fisoedd yn ôl yn Abertawe, yn Neuadd y Brangwyn, trefnwyd gan Melin Drafod, a buodd hi'n siarad am Cymru Rydd, Cymru Werdd a Chymru Cymraeg. So, our next speaker now is going to tell us if that is actually possible. The idea of a free Wales, a green Wales and a Welsh Wales. So rowch croeso mawr I Mirain Angharad Owen.
Helo Abertawe! Waw! Da chi'n edrych yn gret. Wel, dwi eisiau dechrau efo cwestiwn. Be dyn ni'n neud ma? Why are we here? Mae gen I ffrind sy'n gofyn I mi dro ar ôl tro. Pam ydyn ni'n gorymdeithio? Why do we march? Wel, dwi'n Swansea Jack, born and bred yn Abertawe, a dwi'n credu yn fy nghalon. I believe in my heart that if people knew that even one child in Wales was suffering of poverty whilst the English government spend on weapons to kill, tase pobl yn gwybod bod 31% o blant Cymru yn dioddef o dylodi. That's 190,000 children living in poverty in Wales. And that's after Wales exported £5 trillion worth of coal out of Wales. Dyna 5 triliwn o bunnoedd werth o lo wedi allforio allan o Gymru. Dwi yma achos dwi'n credu tasau pobl yn gwybod hyn, fysen nhw yma heddiw. They'd be here today screaming with us for an independent Wales. Fysen nhw'n gweiddi gyda ni. Fysen nhw'n gweiddi gyda ni am Gymru rydd, am Gymru werdd ac am Gymru Gymraeg. Dwi yma achos dwi'n credu tasau pobl yn gwybod bod hi'n amhosib dal tren o Abertawe i Aberystwyth heb eistedd ar dren am 14 awr. 14 awr, that's 14 hours on a train to get from Swansea to Aberystwyth. 14 hours on an off-peak return ticket. Off-peak return? Oh, and that's after the English government spent £5 billion of Welsh money on the HS2. Dyna dren sydd ddim yn cyffwrdd Cymru. Mae'r peth yn anhygol. Dwi'n credu yn fy nghalon, tasau pobl yn gwybod hyn, fysen nhw yma heddiw. They'd be here today marching with us for an independent Wales. Fysen nhw yma yn bloeddio am Gymru rydd, am Gymru werdd ac am Gymru Gymraeg. Tasau pobl yn gwybod bod un plentyn yn gadael ysgol heb addysg Gymraeg. That's one child leaving school without their Welsh education, their Welsh culture. If people knew that 80% of children get an English medium education in Wales, dyna 80% o blant Cymru yn cael eu hamddifadu o'r iaith. Tasau pobl yn gwybod bod pobl yn teimlo'n embarrassed o iaith yng Nghymru. People feel embarrassed to speak their language in Wales. If people knew, that's why I'm here, because if people knew, they'd be here with us today. They'd be here screaming with us for an independent Wales. Fysen nhw yma yn bloeddio gyda ni. They say we're better together. Well, they've had 800 years to prove that, and they haven't. Yeah. So, dwi yma achos dwi'n gwybod y pethau yma. Ydych chi yma achos ydych chi'n gwybod y pethau yma. I'm here because I know, and you're here because you know. So say it with me, gweithwch gyda fi, annibyniaeth! Annibyniaeth! Yeah, diolch yn fawr.
OK, diolch. Sorry, fi jyst yn symud dodrefn o gwmpas fan hyn, esgus bod fi yn y tŷ neu rhywbeth, fi'n credu. No, we need to crank up the volume. So in order to do that, we're taking the lectern and the microphone back a bit so that we hopefully don't have that horrible feedback going on then. Nawr te, cwbl o gyhoeddiadau os gai cyn cyflwyno'r siaradwr nesaf. St John's Ambulance, if any of you are feeling overcome by the occasion, you know, the annibyniaeth sydd ar y gorwel, ar poeth ni, mae'n braf iawn ma heddiw. St John's Ambulance are just on the corner here, okay. Dŵr wedi ni, draw ar bwys stondin YesCymru. So water station is by the YesCymru stand, as is the Lost Children area. Now, these marches aren't free, unfortunately. They're free to you, obviously, but there is a cost implication. So there will be a bucket collection. So we'll have our bucket collectors coming around soon. So please, if you've got any loose change, or even any fivers or tenors or £20 notes knocking around, then all very gratefully received. Diolch yn fawr iawn. Do you want another rubbish joke? Okay, you've asked for it. You know, often when people are talking about small independent nations and, you know, someone will rattle off maybe 5 or 6, you know, small independent nations that are doing very well for themselves, thank you very much. And quite often, Switzerland is in there, isn't it? You know? And when people ask me, well, what's so special about Switzerland? I say, well, I don't know really, but the flag is a big plus. So, sorry. Right, so, I gyflwyno siaradwraig nesa. No, I think that had better be my last joke, couldn't it? You know, yeah. Right, so, I don't think there can be many councillors who can boast that they've got a castle in their ward. So, ro croeso mawr. So, the councillor for Caldicot Castle Ward, please. Rachel Garrick.
Diolch yn fawr. Shwmai Abertawe? Rachel dwi, a dwi dod a llafer dros annibyniaeth. I'm Rachel, and I'm from Labour for Independence, and I bet you're wondering why I'm here. I'm going to tell you for why. We're all right. Okay, so, that's right, I am a Labour member. I am an elected councillor over in Monmouthshire, and I support independence. And let me tell you, I am not alone. Now, we hear a lot of opinions within the independence movement about Labour. Oh, you're a unionist party, we don't want to speak to you. But let me tell you this. Labour's identity is not about the United Kingdom. Labour's identity is about socialism and about democracy. And that is why we are all here, for democracy. Wrong country, pal. We're not talking about Keir Starmer today. Nah. Those of us in Labour for an independent Cymru are socialists. We're trade unionists and workers who are part of Cymru's 100-year-old tradition of a labour movement. And we believe that the future of our country is an independent Cymru. We know that our country is big enough. Our country is strong enough. And our people have the solidarity, the fire, and the political ability to build our country as an independent country with a bright future. So why are we part of this movement, apart from the fact that we want it? You know, I constantly get, well, why are you in that party? You know, right? That doesn't work. So our job is to normalise the want and the need for independence in a party which our country has returned a majority to Westminster for the last 100 years. That's a majority that's rarely been reflected in a UK government, and a majority whose voice has been drowned out, like our villages in Westminster, because our country is not represented fairly as a nation in the UK political system. It don't work for us. We all know that the Westminster setup means our country's voice is outnumbered, and that we're going to have that voice further decimated when 8 constituencies and MPs are lost again to the Boundary Commission at the next general election. Our voice gets smaller and smaller in a system which thinks only of numbers of people and not nations. That's not a United Kingdom. And meanwhile, our devolved government here in Wales, it has the least powers of all devolved nations. Why should we, as a country, have less power over our nation than every other devolved nation? We're not an afterthought. We're a thriving nation with a proud heritage and a prouder future. And for that, we need to be a nation that is in control of its own future. Now, if we're going to achieve that, in Cymru, we are going to achieve that, we need all the support that we can get. And that includes those of us in Welsh Labour and those who vote Labour as well. Our culture and our political heritage means that there are quite a few of us that believe in socialism. There are many of us in this country who still vote Labour and continue to vote Labour whilst we believe in independence. So the polls this week show that 32% of us in Wales, in Cymru, support independence. It also shows that 42% of us that vote Labour in Cymru support independence. That's 10% more support in the Labour demographic than in the general public in the country. And I can tell you something else as well. There's a lot of people in Wales that vote Labour. So, if you look at the voting from the Senedd from last year before last, and you apply those polling results to your voter turnout and your vote share, what you find is, out of that 32%, actually, 15% of that 32% of people supporting independence are ticking a Labour box at an election. And 12.6% of that 32% are ticking a Plaid Cymru box. Because of that, the size of the Labour vote, I'm actually standing here from the party that represents the most independence voters in the country today. I know that's not a popular thing to say, and I am very sorry. But actually, we need to understand as a movement that Labour does represent a big voting bloc for independence, and that is why we are here standing shoulder to shoulder with you. And being as an out-and-out supporter of independence in my party, I don't go anywhere without somebody coming saying, yeah, I'm a Labour member, or I'm a Labour elected representative, and I support you as well. So there we are. And that's why we're all here today. And that's why I'm proud to be here today and proud to be part of this movement, all under one banner. Well, actually, can I see your banners? Can I see them? That's not all under one banner, that's all under every banner out there. It's great to see. But our road to an independent nation isn't through any one political party or any one group. It is through our movement. And it's a movement that understands that a nation's people has many views and varied politics, but that our nation is at its best when we come together in solidarity and work for a cause. And there is no bigger cause in our country than our right to run it. And together, in solidarity, we can do this. Annibyniaeth dros Cymru. Ein wlad, ein dyfodol. Diolch yn fawr.
OK, diolch yn fawr iawn. Dim ond 2 siaradwr arall I fynd nawr. Dyn ni bron yna, folks. So gall yr yfed gwirion dechrau wedyn, ynddo fe? Fi'n edrych ymlaen I gael paint. Chi'n edrych ymlaen hefyd I chi? Oh, what a teg. Yeah, welach in y pub. OK then, we're nearly there, folks. Now this next speaker, he was a revelation, basically, as one of our guest panelists at the Melyn Drafod conference in Abertawe just a couple of months ago, and we're delighted to have him here now to share his thoughts, because this, vitally for us in Wales, gives us the Scottish perspective. Rowch croeso mawr I Mr Robin McAlpine.
Oh, hello everybody. It's so nice to be down here. Absolutely delightful. Every time I come to Wales, and I've been to Wales and indie business about 3 or 4 times in the last few years, every time I come, I leave with a spring in my step. I really do. A real sense of joy, a real sense of excitement. And I was trying to think what it is. Now, of course, it's all of you beautiful Welsh people, and in particular, it's hearing you all speak your beautiful language. The first time I was here, and I was in a train, just heading home, and I did a brilliant time, and I was feeling really good. And a group of school kids came in and sat with me in the train and chatted away to themselves in Welsh, and I thought it was the best thing I'd ever heard, and I always enjoy it. But, the more you clap, the less beer we get. Right, so That's not really the reason, though. The reason is that sometimes when we're fighting these fights, it can feel like you're fighting it on your own. And these fights take time, and they're hard, and things go well, and then they don't, and then they do, and then they don't. And throughout it, you can feel a little bit on your own, but we're not on our own. Every time I come down here, I remember that we are working with you for the same thing, shoulder to shoulder, your country with your future in your hands, my country with my future in my hands. The Flemish with their country in their hands, and all the rest of the autonomy movements in Europe. And why? Right, okay, I'm going to do a tiny little bit of economics, don't leave. So I just want you to remember one number. This number is a very simple number. Every capital city in Europe takes more than its share of the national wealth. That's what capital cities do. And on average, if you average the whole of Europe, the capital cities of all the economies in Europe take about twice as much wealth as their per capita share out of the nation's GDP. Right, except London. And you should see the graph. Graph it sometime. It's great because the graph goes like this. And then you've got London, which takes 5 times its share of the nation's wealth. 5 times. If you do the graph, you need to change the entire perspective of it, because the difference between London and every other capital city in Europe is so big. And that's bad enough. But what's really galling is that they take all the money and then they make us feel like we're substandard for giving us a little bit of it back. We exist in an economy which was rigged against us as our nations. And it's not just us. I love Wales, but I love the north of England too. And they're getting screwed by London. And one of the reasons why I believe this is the best thing, not just for us, but the best thing for all of Britain, is because England needs a chance to discover what the hell it is. It isn't just the City of London. It isn't just bankers, and it isn't just that awful mess, Westminster. It's a better country too. But if we are all stuck like this, stuck together in a country that still thinks it's a big deal, even as it's declining, we'll never find those different ways forward. So I started the Commonweal think tank, which is a left-of-centre think tank. And we've done quite a lot of work on the economy of an independent Scotland. But one of the things that keeps coming back to me is when I look at what Scotland's got. Scotland has got enormous resources. And these are resources which are very well suited to the modern world. If you've got space and you've got land, you have the capacity to grow, for example, biocrops. And biocrops are at the heart of an industrial revolution that is a green industrial revolution. Bioplastics, construction materials. And the more of your land that you are not using well, the more economic potential you as a nation have for energy, for resources, for food, for the things that will matter in the 21st century. So Wales is a rich country, a powerful, rich country to my eyes. And of all the things that I've done about the ability for Scotland to be independent, every time I do it, I think, I must pass that down to Wales, because they've sort of got the same opportunities. And they too need to understand, and sometimes I don't think Wales does, needs to understand how strong you are and what a good position you are in to be that nation. So I won't hold you up too much, because you've been here for ages. It's an absolutely gorgeous day. I absolutely love being invited down. I think this is the 3rd time I've been at Swansea in the last couple of years. And can I just say that from my other 2 visits, it never occurred to me to bring sunblock. So I didn't even know you could get sun in Swansea from the last couple of times I was here. And I'm speaking as someone from Glasgow originally. So thank you so much for inviting me down. It is always a pleasure. I want to leave a couple of things. First of all, a big thank you for something else. In 2014, when we were about to have the referendum, with a couple of weeks to go, someone sent me a video. And it was from you guys. It was a video from Wales with person after person after person having done a little selfie video. And all those selfie videos said the same thing: go for it, Scotland. And I watched that video with 2 weeks to go. And I'm going to be honest, I watched it with somebody else and I had to pretend I wasn't crying. It meant so much to me. It really did. The solidarity of Wales and everything that we have done has never wavered. We have felt it and we have known it. And I promise you, absolutely promise you, I have been sending pictures from this today up home all the time. And that solidarity is two-way. The second you get your shot at it and you need some people to knock doors, give us a phone. We'll be down. We will help you deliver your country back to you. And this is the last thing that I want to say. On a gorgeous day like this, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a pint, maybe it's a glass of wine. But you must all surely be just about ready to move on and get a little bit of your night going. But when you do, save your energy, because you're going to need it. Because between you and between us, with the state of where we are, we have a task, and it's a big task. We have to dismantle a kingdom. And that is something that we will do together. And when we do, we won't look back. It will be a new future for both of our nations.
Wedes I bo fe'n dda, ynddo fe? Right, okay, now then. So we've come to our final speaker. So I'll make some announcements after that, just all the thank yous and so on. So another super stellar speaker for you now. Lots of things I could say here, but I think what I'll just say instead is da 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 da. Da 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 da. Liz Saville, Roberts, Liz Saville. A dyma hi, ar y gair.
Oh, dearie me. Dydau rhywbeth, o'n i ddim yn mynd I ddawnsio, cofiwch. O'n I ddim yn mynd I ddawnsio. Right. Dyn ni yma yn Abertawe. Codwch eich baneri. Lift high those banners. Go on, let's see them in the wind. Let's see them here. Am ddiwrnod, am gynulleidfa. Couldn't ask for a better audience, you couldn't ask for a better day. Even the scaffold is flying, YesCymru. Fantastic. And we are, of course, we're all of us united against the injustices we face as a nation. So eloquently put by others, rail funding on water, the attacks on peaceful process, and we've made some noise today. They'll hear it in Westminster. But we're not just here to dwell on the challenges, to describe the status quo. We're here to outline our vision of a better, richer, fairer country, to convince others that Wales isn't destined for eternal poverty. It doesn't have to be like this. I stand here today to tell you that we are more than just a footnote in another people's history. We are a vibrant, resilient and proud nation with more than the capacity to thrive on our own. We know this. And we're here to carry on that proud Welsh tradition, not just of standing tall against injustice, but rising above it to create something so much, much better. Whether it's the Rebecca riots, the miners' strike, or the fight for Welsh language rights, it is in that spirit of resilience that we are here today. And the recently passed Public Order Act, it's seen sweeping powers enacted to curb the right to do what we are doing today, to curb the right to protest. Peaceful protesters arrested simply for wanting an elected head of state. It's our purpose, the purpose of that act, to silence us, to stifle our voices, to suppress our dissent. And what do you know? Keir Starmer just limply nods along to whatever the Tories are saying. But, cyfeillion, will we allow ourselves to be silenced? No! So let's keep on shouting. Not just about what's wrong. It's easy enough to describe what's wrong. But what we can make better, so much better today. Imagine if we had full control over our natural resources, allowing our communities to reap the benefits from profits from Crown Estate energy. That could power our next industrial revolution, treading light-footed on the planet precious resources of the world. Imagine Wales working with like-minded small nations in the room, addressing the challenges of our age, the climate crisis, our cost of living crisis, the energy crisis. Imagine having the powers over infrastructure and borrowing so we could actually build a decent transport system that allows us to travel north and south without going into another country. Imagine having the ability to craft and fund a decent welfare system that ensures our children can grow up and flourish without the fetters of childhood poverty. It's not normal, Cyfeillion, to have a third of our children living in poverty. It's not normal that people are dying younger, that our living standards are worsening, and that despite the fact that apparently we live in the 6th wealthiest nation state in the world. It's not normal because the United Kingdom and its institutions are not normal. Cyfeillion, derbyniwch ddim ohono fe, accept none of it. And speaking as an MP, sometimes you get drawn into Westminster's bizarre, archaic conventions and you start thinking it's normal. But the fact that we still have to observe 19th century rules, and those are the modern ones, that's not normal. Rules that have barely changed specifically because those institutions were and remain designed to maintain and entrench inequality. It's because of that system that allows a handful of billionaires to hoard wealth while families struggle to feed their children. That is disgusting. This isn't a cost of living crisis, Cyfeillion. It's a cost of greed crisis. And this crisis is a result of the choices consciously made in Westminster. Borrowing, taxation, energy regulation, the very powers necessary to address this crisis are jealously guarded there by a government we did not choose, at the say-so of a Prime Minister chosen only by his party MPs, and they dictate to us about democracy. It doesn't have to be like this. We can build a modern, thriving and inclusive European nation. We can be a sanctuary for those seeking refuge, where diversity is celebrated and embraced. We can build an economy where the rights of workers aren't trampled underfoot, but enshrined in our own national constitution of the future. We can build a nation where our LGBT siblings are not demonised, but instead where they can flourish in an environment that cherishes their rights and identities. Give us the tools, Cyfeillion, and we will build this future. And I conclude, we must also be frank about the avenues available for us to achieve this future. And I must give a mention to my colleague David Wigley and his bill that was passed in the Lords on Friday to safeguard our powers in our Senate. Give us the tools and the materials and we will build this. But this vision otherwise, even though we do our best, it's not possible within a Westminster system that mocks our values and interests. And it is not possible within a beleaguered devolution system constantly under assault. The solution to the bright vision and homespun pragmatism discussed today, bright vision, pragmatism, is annibyniaeth independence. And although, of course, I stand here as a Plaid Cymru MP, this is not the time for party politics. We must work together for that, the one cause, the major cause of our generation in Wales. And we are, of course, home to anybody who desires a new approach to the old, tired ways of doing things. So, where does it begin from here on? It begins in the conversations in the pub tonight. in the shop tomorrow, in the office and the workplace on Monday. Our friends, our neighbours, our workmates. Tell your friends why it's not right that we're denied billions in rail funding. Ask your fellow worker if they think it's right that the UK Treasury and the royal family profit from Welsh natural resources. By spreading the word, we will make sure, step by step, that this is how we build the coalition. This is how we will build the Wales of the future. And this is how we will craft a new Wales. So, gwnewch sŵn yma yn Abertawe. Let's make the shout now, the shout that they will hear in Westminster, here in Abertawe, here in Swansea. Annibyniaeth! 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 Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Wel, am ddiweddglo. Reit dyn ni wedi dod at y diwedd nawr. Cwbl o ddiolchiadau, os gai. A few thank yous now. So it's dangerous when you start naming people, isn't it? Because once you start doing that, then you have to name everyone, or you upset people. But I am going to name just a couple, if I may. For the incredible help in organising today, I've got to thank Andrew Murphy of YesCymru, Hedd Gwynfor of AUOB and all the team there, and Sam and all at Yes Abertawe. It's been amazing. It's been an amazing journey that we've been on together. And of course, looking out across all of you here, the thousands of you that are here, Charles, Mr. Flag, whose work I can see all around me. Fantastic. Diolch yn fawr. Hefyd, diolch yn fawr iawn I St John's Ambulance, Cyngor Lleol a'r Heddlu. I understand we've probably got a few new members from amongst the ranks of the local police as well. So that's a... Didn't see that coming, did we? Now, it doesn't end here, of course, because there are fringe events going on this afternoon and this evening, so I'll just mention those very quickly, if I may. The poverty panel discussion is kicking off now at 3:30 in the Volcano Theatre. Cofiwch Werthin is a comedy evening. Noel James and friends at the Schooner Inn from 4 o'clock. The Red Poets are here as well. Y Beirdd Cochion. Diolch am ddod. They'll be in the No Sign Bar from 3 o'clock till 5. And then there's a Welsh folk festival in the Queen's from 5 p.m. Now, we're going to end as we normally end any sort of gathering in Wales. You know, it's the highlight of the event, isn't it? The raffle. Have you all bought a ticket? Come on. Diolch yn fawr iawn i chi gyd am ddod. Siwrne saff gatre. We'll see you all again very soon. Diolch.